Hey guys, Greg Silverman here. Come learn with me, another segment of Come Learn With Me through CIOs and bow ties. I'm now back in my natural habitat of the trading floor. Okay, another article everyone liked, and this one's back to our biotech roots, so this should be interesting. RBC taps into biotech surge, investing in new Lumira venture fund. Royal Bank of Canada is backing the country's largest life sciences venture capital fund in 2 decades, making it one of the few Bay Street institutions to invest in the surging domestic sector. This article is from February 1st. RBC's undisclosed investment with Toronto-based Lumira Ventures, which has financed some of Canada's most valuable biotechnology companies, is not a one-off and is part of a broader strategy by Canada's largest bank to support the sector, said Anthony Mushantaf, director with RBC's Technology and Innovation Banking Group. Mr. Mushantaf offered few details, but said there will be an investment component and a more dedicated fund-of-funds strategy that will see RBC back other biotech names. It's a long-term bet and commitment for us. Our goal is that we play a role in helping to get another generation of breakout Canadian and North American companies. RBC's move follows a record year in 2020 for private and public fundraising for Canadian biotech companies, including the 3 largest initial public offerings ever by domestic drug developers, AbCellera Biologics, Repair Therapeutics, and Fusion Pharmaceuticals. In addition to Lumira's investor ranks is big news for Canadian biotech. In addition, for years, financiers and companies have attempted to entice Canadian asset managers outside Quebec, where support has been strong to back the sector. Previously, the only bite was from Canada Pension Plan Investment Board, which invested $20 million in Fusion Pharmaceuticals months before the Hamilton Cancer Therapy Developers IPO in June 2020. Okay, so they got the benefit of going public. That, however, was part of a global toe-in-the-water approach by CPPIB to fund emerging sectors and not part of a Canadian-focused effort. The great thing about RBC coming to the asset class is that it will provide more depth to our local funds, and they can take the bigger stakes, bolder moves, and be more inclined to create companies, said Genesys Gertin, Vice President of Investments, Life Sciences with Quebec's Fonds de Solidarité, FTQ, a leading backer of the sector. Lumira is raising its 4th fund with target of reaching $200 million to back Canadian, US drug and medical technology developers. It's about 3/4 of the way to its goal and is already larger than the Canadian biotech fund since the early 2000s. It is already larger than any Canadian biotech. Lumira raised $178 million for its previous fund in 2017. Managing General Partner Peter van der Velten said an unidentified Chinese pharmaceutical company is also invested, and that most additional capital would likely come from outside Canada. The rest of Canada's coterie of biotech venture capital firms, CTI Life Sciences, Genesys Capital, and Amplitude Venture Capital, are also raising funds. Let's get these names in our points. San Francisco's Versant Ventures is expected to launch a sequel to its Canada-focused Voyager fund this year. Lumira, once known as MDS Capital, struggled for years under previous owner MDS Laboratory Services before a 2007 management buyout and rechristening. Mr. van der Velten said the goal when Lumira raised its first post-pin-out funds in 2012 was to create companies worth $1 billion. That was a big, airy, audacious idea, as no new Canadian company had hit that threshold in years, he said. 2 Lumira companies, Zymeworks and Aurinia Pharmaceuticals, have since reached that level. Lumira has had a solid run lately. Aurinia got regulatory approval last month to sell its lupus drug in the US and is aiming to become one of the few Canadian developers to become a fully integrated drug company. Lumira has realized returns of 5 to 10 times its investment in Aurinia. That's nice, 5 to 10 times. So 10 bagger, that's what you're after. Two Lumira-backed US companies, Body Diagnostics and Engage Therapeutics, has sold for hundreds of millions of dollars each since June, and Toronto digital healthcare company Think Research Corp, ThinkX, went public in December. Oh, this looks like an interesting company. Let's get that one in. Financial returns are why we are in business, Lumira Managing Director Jerry Brunk said, but those results in concrete, meaningful impacts on patients around the world. So those results. Lumira returns rank among the top quartile of all North American venture funds. Back in the day, we backed Lumira because we saw its potential to become a flagship Canadian venture capital franchise. Ms. Gertin said, "We are proud because they did deliver very good returns." Despite that, most of Lumira's Canadian institutional backing has come from Quebec investors, including Fonds FTQ, Caisse de dépôt et placement du Québec Foundation, and Terralist Capital. My French is terrible. Its investors also include Ontario Fund of Funds Manager, Northleaf Capital, and Kensington Capital Partners, as well as Vancouver Credit Savings Credit Union. If it wasn't for those Quebec-based pension plans, we wouldn't exist, Mr. Van der Velden said. Ms. Goutin said, "It has always puzzled us that other Canadian institutions seem to be a bit more afraid of the asset class." Very good. Canadians are supporting their biotech industry.